why is the scoring system so hard to change? Why won't you just fix it? And I, I chuckle not because, you know, I'm with you. If it was as simple as, oh, let me just fix the landing light, taxi light issue with FS2 Crew, it's not like we can just flip a switch. I wish it was that simple. So I kind of want to take a second and just explain why it's not that simple. Scoring is a sensitive topic. Thank you, Renee. Um, it's the scoring system is designed to be as objective as possible. So to start with, and we can certainly probably pull up some screenshots or even the review page. But when staff review your flight or review your flight score, they don't know who it is. Um, Flight processing by staff is completely anonymous. Uh, so staff cannot see who it is. So there's no subjective ability to factor into the situation. And this is one of the cornerstones because we want flight scoring to be as objective as possible. We don't want, oh, hey, it's Matthias's, so he's obviously gonna get it passed, or oh, it's Lorenzo's, we're obviously gonna fail his flight. We don't want any of that. We don't want any subjective anything coming into play or into factoring into the equation. So we try and keep it as objective as possible. And as part of that, we make it a very closed system, in the sense that no one has the ability to actually modify flight data. And this is intentional. It's by design. If you submit a flight report and it has one position report that's out of whack, and maybe you've seen this sometimes where you have on your flight wins page after you submit the flight, you've kind of got this arc if it's a long haul, and then you might have this like weird waypoint out at 00 in the middle of the Atlantic, and that's an anomaly where if you open like the map or you go into the main menu or something, the flight simulator will send a 00 coordinate, and that's not something we can actually fix in the sense that we can fix it, but um, we won't fix it, or we won't fix it by hand. We're certainly looking into possibilities of fixing it from a programmatic or ACAR standpoint, but nobody has the ability to go in and actually change when you turned your landing light on and off. And that's all intentional, so that way nobody can manipulate flight data. It's a closed, static system, and so when we talk about making changes to the scoring, it's not, oh, we can just create an override until the technical issue is fixed. We have to go with the technical issue first, or the technical solution first. And I realize that can be a little frustrating sometimes because I agree. Well, if we know it's a problem, why don't we just bypass it by hand? And part of that is because as soon as we do something like that, we undermine the entire fundamental closed system that we created. And we want staff and pilots alike to be able to trust that the system calculates flights and gives you scores based on a concrete set of information that is everyone's aware of. There's no exceptions. As I'm sure anyone else will happily chime in, I do not like exceptions. They make everyone's life more difficult. Sometimes you need to have exceptions, but for scoring, it's not something we like to see. So, okay, if it's a technical problem, why don't we just disable scoring something? And the answer is we can. The problem that comes up is scoring is all points based for the actual percentage, and because of that, if we remove points possible or add points possible, it can create unintended consequences to the score results, and it's something we need to be conscious of. Um, and so it we don't like doing it because we don't know what other problems or scoring calculation issues it might create unintentionally. So what we're working on is an update to the entire system. So the scoring system fundamentals haven't changed since we launched 2 years ago, and it's one of the I think it's one of the oldest pieces that has not been given any significant attention or improvements. We realize that, and we want to definitely fix it. The problem is, it technically is pretty simple to swap out how we do scoring calculations. From a calculation and operation standpoint, it's a little more difficult. And most of that is coming back to that point system. The scoring system is designed a certain way for a certain reason. If you fail to land with your landing gear down and you do a belly landing, we want you to get under a 70%. That way your flight is not accepted. But how do you calculate and balance? We want you to be able to make a lot of little mistakes and very few big mistakes. And so we actually have a scoring simulator, if you will, that we made in Excel, or someone made in Excel, where we can go in and we can actually play with the numbers and the points that are assigned in different phases and all of that. And that becomes absolutely it becomes very helpful when we try and make these scoring changes. But the key point or the key takeaway is that we're working on it. It's not something we're ignoring. It's not something that we don't want to fix or that we're not aware of. We're painfully aware of it. I get bugged about it on a regular basis, and it's something we're looking to address. But it's a little more complicated than just flipping some switches.